everyone, I'm Zahid Abbas. In this video we are going to learn about the following learning outcomes. Number 1, what is a quadratic equation? Number 2, what are different forms of quadratic equations? And number 3, a brief introduction of each form of quadratic equation. What is a quadratic equation? A quadratic equation is a second degree polynomial equation of the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, where x is unknown, a, b and c are numbers and a is not equal to 0. Any equation that can be rearranged as ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0 is also quadratic. If the quadratic equation is in arrangement like ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, then it is said to be in standard form. Otherwise, it can be rearranged to get the standard form. The quadratic equation is an equation of degree 2. That is, highest power or exponent of variable in quadratic equation is 2. If we replace a, b and c in general form of quadratic equation by numbers, except a cannot be replaced with 0, we get different quadratic equations. For example, 2x squared minus 7x plus 6 equals 0. 3x squared minus 9x equals 0. 4x squared plus 16 equals 0. 9x squared equals 0. These equations are quadratic also. X minus 2 into x minus 3 equals 0. 5 into x minus 2 squared plus 6 equals 0. We can simplify these equations to get standard form. It is a necessary condition for an equation to be a quadratic equation if it is in standard form to have a term that involves squared power of variable. In ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, the numbers a, b and c are called the coefficients of quadratic equation. Individually, a is called the quadratic coefficient, b is called the linear coefficient, and c is called the constant or free term. These coefficients may be real or complex. The values of x that satisfy the given quadratic equation are called solutions or roots or zeros of that quadratic equation. These roots can be real or complex. If the polynomial involved in a quadratic equation is a perfect square, then it has two equal roots. For example, the polynomial involved in x squared minus 2x plus 1 equals 0 is a perfect square. This equation can be written as x minus 1 whole squared is equal to 0. It means x minus 1 into x minus 1 equals 0. From both the factors x minus 1 equals 0, this gives x equals 1. It means both the roots are 1 and hence equal. Such roots are called double roots. Sometimes it is said that this kind of equation has only one root. If the polynomial involved in the quadratic equation is not a perfect square, then its roots are unequal or distinct. For example, the polynomial involved in x squared minus 5x plus 6 equals 0 is not a perfect square. Let's try to solve it for its roots. X squared minus 5x plus 6 equals 0. X squared minus 2x minus 3x plus 6 equals 0. X into x minus 2 minus 3 into x minus 2 equals 0. This gives x minus 2 into x minus 3 equals 0. It means either x minus 2 equals 0 or x minus 3 equals 0. This gives x equals 2 or x is equal to 3. Both the roots are unequal. If the coefficients of quadratic equation are real, then its roots are either real or complex. In this case, if the roots are complex, then they will be complex conjugate of each other. For example, let's try solving this quadratic equation. X squared plus x plus 1 equals 0 using quadratic formula. X equals minus b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac whole divided by 2a. Substituting the values of a, b and c, we get either x is equal to minus 1 plus square root of 3 iota divided by 2, or x equals minus 1 minus square root of 3 iota divided by 2. So both the roots are complex conjugate of each other. However, if coefficients of the quadratic equation are complex, then one root can be real and other complex. For example, let's try solving this quadratic equation. X squared minus within brackets 2 plus iota into x plus 2 iota equals 0. X squared minus 2x minus x iota plus 2 iota equals 0. X into x minus 2 minus iota into x minus 2 equals 0. X minus 2 into x minus iota equals 0. This gives either x minus 2 equals 0 or x minus iota equals 0. This gives either x equal 2 or x equals iota. One root is real and other is complex. Being a polynomial equation, the quadratic equation only contains powers of x that are non-negative integers. For example, x raised to power minus 2 plus 2 into x raised 2 into x raised to power minus 1 plus 1 equals 0 is not a quadratic equation, as this equation involves negative exponents. The graph of a quadratic equation is a parabola. We shall learn about the graph of quadratic equation in the next video of this series. What are different forms of quadratic equations? Number 1, standard form of quadratic equation. Number 2, factored form of quadratic equation. Number 3, vertex form of quadratic equation. Standard form of quadratic equation. In generalized notation, standard form of quadratic equation is written as y is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c, where a, b and c are numbers and is not equal to 0. In the standard form of quadratic equation, a, b and c are defined as: a is the quadratics or curvedness of graph of quadratic equation. B is the slope of tangent of graph of quadratic equation at y-intercept. C is the y-intercept. Factored form of quadratic equation. In generalized notation, factored form of quadratic equation is written as y is equal to a into x minus p into x minus q, where a, p and q are numbers. This form is also known as intercept form, as p and q are x-intercepts. These x-intercepts are the solutions of quadratic equation as well. So p and q are roots of the quadratic equation. Y is equal to a into x minus p into x minus q. The y-intercept in this form is equal to a into minus p into minus q. Vertex form of quadratic equation. In generalized notation, vertex form of quadratic equation is written as y is equal to a into x minus h whole squared plus k, where a, h and k are numbers again. This form is called the vertex form, as h and k are the coordinates of vertex. What is vertex? Vertex is lowest or highest point of graph of quadratic equation.